What's up, guys? It's Chase from Jesse's Workshop, and in this video we're going to be installing a G-bender into this Telecaster. Now, if you guys don't know, I sell these kits on my website, cwkshop.com. You can go down in the description and find a link to it. I sell the B and G-bender kits. Now, they're both exactly the same kit. I just name them that, so if you want a G-bender, you can search G-bender and hopefully find it. Or if you search a B-bender, you can search it, hopefully find that as well. My main whole idea for this video and this video series is to show you guys the in-depth process of installing one of these guys into your guitar. I want to give you all the information I can to show you how to do this to where you can decide for yourself whether or not this is something you think you can do yourself or not. Now, if you don't think you can do it yourself, you can always find someone in your area to install one of these guys for you. I've got a lot of people that have bought from me that sent it to a luthier in their area and they installed it for them. And hopefully in the near future, I'll be able to install these guys for you. Maybe you can just send your guitar to me and I can install one for you. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to go through all the parts you get from me. You've got the upper arm, lower arm, and all that stuff. And like I said, the G and the B bender kits are exactly the same. The only difference is that when you route the back cavity here, you have to shift up the router template just a little bit to allow for the lower arm to maneuver up here. There's a couple ways you can get around that as well. So in this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to align for the knob, and then we're going to get the back template on and maybe get this guy routed out and get some other stuff. I'm going to go through all the parts and everything as well. So guys, if you have any questions or comments about any of this stuff, leave them below. If you like the video, give me a like. And if you like it, please subscribe. Thanks for watching, guys. All right, guys, I'm going to go through the parts real quick. This is the router template you get when you order one from me. It comes with two parts. You have an inside part, which is this guy here, and you have an outside part, which is this guy here. Now, the inside part is basically used to align it to the guitar, and you'll see just in a little bit what I'm talking about by aligning this guy and why this part's very important. And also, too, when you get through routing, you can use this to spot your center point for your nut, your mounting nut. So this is used for all that. This is just for routing. You'll place this guy on there, pull this out, route your cavity, put this back in there, spot your hole, and then mount your nut inside of there, like so. Now the next thing we'll go over is the upper arm. It's this guy here, and this thing hasn't been polished or anything. This is just the way it comes from the machine shop to me. It has a bearing that slides in right here. I haven't fitted it all together yet. I'm going to do that here in just a little bit, and that comes together. It also comes with this end piece here, and all this is a threaded rod, and it screws into the upper arm, and then you have a spacer and then a thumb nut. And I make this guy extra long too, to where if you're using it on a guitar that has a bigger horn, you have enough room to either, you can add a little bit here if you need to. You can add a nut here and it'll extend this a little bit further. And normally you have to cut all this stuff to make it to where it aligns right. So when you mount it in your guitar, normally your horn's going to be somewhere around in here. So you might have to cut this guy back a little bit or something like that to make it work. So there's that. You've got it comes with a little tuner. And basically all this guy does is mounts in the top of the guitar, and it protrudes down into this cavity here to where when this thing bends you can actually tune it. And to tune it, all you got to do is loosen this guy here, this little nut here, turn this, and then tighten it back down once you get it where you want it. And then you can obviously cut this to length too, because this is actually longer than you need. The mount, this is the mount, and it comes with a bolt. The bolt, which this part will be inside of here, and I'm going to do all that in a little bit. It will go through that, and then it mounts into there. And that's how the actual arm mounts to the assembly. Okay, then you have your connecting rod. It comes with two rod ends, a threaded rod, two thumb nuts, and a nylon spacer right here. And the spacer is what we use to mount our spring to, and then once it's mounted to it, you can just adjust the tension by turning this thumb nut. And then when you get it where you want it, you can tighten it down. And this just mounts to this guy here with a screw. And then you have your knob and your lower arm. The knob screws into that. You got the two bearings too. Screws in there. And then once it bottoms down, you use a thumb nut to lock it all down. And there's that part. And then of course you have another screw that goes into this hole here that mounts this one to this. Now all this stuff is adjustable, especially this here. You're going to have to cut this guy and to whatever size guitar you use, and you're going to have to cut and adjust this guy and your tuner. but everything else is pretty much like it is. So there's all the parts to it. When you order a kit from me, you get all the parts you see here minus the template. The template's separate, and the reason I do that is too is because it takes a lot of time to build these guys, and I also have it available to where if you go to my website, you can actually download a PDF of this same template and print it out, or take it to a print shop, get them to print it, however you want to do it, and you don't have to buy this if you don't want to. But now that you've seen these guys, since I haven't done anything to them, I'm going to go out here and I'm going to polish them up and bring them back in here and let you see them. Alright, so there they are. I've got them polished up. I will hit them again before I do the final putting them in the guitar and everything. But I just take them and hit them with various grades of sandpaper, and then I polish them on my polishing wheel. So there you go. Okay, so what we've got here is I've got the guitar. Everything's still on here, so I've got it strung up. And what I want to do is I want to get, we're going to line for our knob on the back of the guitar. And what we're going to do to start with this is we're going to put a piece of tape. Just got some painter's tape here. And we're going to put a piece right along the back here. Like so. Now you can use any kind of ruler that you have. I've got one like this right here. And it's a little bit thicker than normal. And the thicker they are, the better they probably work for this process right here. This is one I've got. It's a little bit thinner. Like I said, it would work, but I'm going to go with the thicker one that I got. Now what I want to do is I want to take this guy and I want to line it up exactly with this G string, since we're going to be making this into a G bender. So what I want to do is I want to take this side and I'm going to align it ever so carefully onto that. So I've got it aligned. Now this is kind of extending the string on out here. Got another square. I'm just going to set it on the guitar. I'm going to take it, I'm going to move it in until it just barely touches the other one. And I'm going to put a mark where this line, where this right here comes down and touches back here. I don't know if you can see that or not. I'll do it from this side this time. So I'll move that up there and let it touch. I'm going to put a mark right there. I'm hoping you can see that. See those two marks? They're in line with the, there's one here and there's one here. And all I did was on this flat edge, I just moved this guy in to that line, like so, and then I put a mark on this edge right here. Same thing up here. Now we're going to connect the dots. Draw a line. So there we go. That's pretty simple enough, right? Here's our knob. Our knob is 3/4 of an inch, or roughly 3/4 of an inch. When I buy this material, it comes just 3/4, but by the time I polish it down and everything, it's a little bit shy of it. So we're looking at 47/64, right at 3/4. We're just going to say 3/4. So half of 3/4 is 3/8. Now we don't put this knob right on that string. That doesn't work that way. We got to move this knob up. In order to do that, we got to find the center of this shaft coming out of our knob. So half of 3/4 is 3/8. So we're going to move our dials down here to 3/8, and that should put us dead center of that knob and the side of the knob here too. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take our 3/8, I'm going to come off that line, come above that line, and put another mark. Like so. Now we're going to connect the dots on that one. So this is our line that our actual knob will sit on. So it'll sit something like that. So we want this string to come out off right here. We want it to come through our saddle. We want it to hit this side of our knob to where it goes around, and then it can go in here and we can bend it. Now what I got to do is I got to figure out where I want this thing to actually drill the hole for our shaft for our knob. Now one difference between this one and my OB bender has a different style saddle on it. It's about a 1/2 inch shorter, so this one's about a 1/2 inch longer than that one. So our knob's going to kind of be a little bit closer to our bridge on this guitar than on the other one. What I want to try to do is I'm going to take my template inside part of my template. I'm just going to lay it on the back of here, and maybe draw a line right here just to kind of give me an idea about how wide that area is. Now, since this one's got to be a little bit closer, if we move our template too far back, it won't work on our guitar. It'll actually come out of the guitar. So we still got to keep it somewhat close to that same area. So like I said, I'm just put a little mark there. Now what I want to do is I want to take this knob and I want to try to shift it as far back as I can inside of that pocket. So I'm going to say we're probably safe to go about there. If I get one of these, I can adjust it too. This will give me a better idea about where I want it. As long as this is in the cavity, we're good. So I'm going to go about right in there with it. Take my ruler, about 15/16, pretty close to 15/16. So I'm going to take it and mark that down here, 15/16. It should put our lower arm, I'm sorry, right there. We got plenty of room to make that work. So right here is where we're going to drill for our shaft of our knob to go through. Now you can come in here and erase the rest of this stuff because you don't need it, and a lot of times if you leave stuff on there, and if you're doing this and you come back to it after a couple of days, you might forget. But this is where we want it to go through, right there. So now what I've got to do is I've got to take this guy and we've got to disassemble it. So I'll be back in just a second. Okay, so we've got it disassembled now. As you can tell right here, we've still got our mark that we had on here from when we had our bridge and everything on it. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this center punch here. I'm going to punch a hole right in the center of that. And then I'm going to take it outside and I'm going to use a centering bit to start a hole here, and then we're going to drill this out with probably an 1/8 inch drill bit. And what we're trying to do here is trying to make sure we get this point here to the back of the guitar, and then we want it to be as straight as possible. This might not be something you can do with a hand drill. I mean, you could probably attempt to do that if you wanted to, but I've got a drill press, and if you've got a drill press, make sure it's set up properly to where when you drill here, it's going to go straight through to the back of the guitar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this guy here, and I'm just going to put it right in the center, and you just press down. So now we've got our hole marked. I'm fixing to take it outside and we're going to put it on the drill press. Okay, one thing to consider here is when whatever bit I use to drill through the top of the guitar, we've got to make sure that we have we're able to still use our Forstner bit for our bearings that go onto our knob. Now one thing to consider is that whatever the diameter of your bit is not bigger than this tip right here. And the reason being is if it's too big, this part goes into it, it'll float. We want it to go straight and drill it dead center. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this 1/8 inch brad point bit. I'm going to drill a hole right here, and I'm going to see how this Forstner bit works with it. Now I'm going to take this guy and I'm going to put it on there, and I'm going to make sure that it doesn't float. See, then our bearing can fit in there like that. I want to make sure that our bit's straight in here, or at least as straight as possible. Looks good that way, looks good that way. So we're pretty straight. Now what I'm going to do is take a piece of cardboard just to kind of help support the bottom, and then I'm going to put the guitar on here, and this is kind of the point of no return. I was going to use a starter bit like this to start it, but I think the brad point bit's going to be fine by itself. So here we go. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this guy, make sure I can get all the way through it. I may even put a piece of tape on the back just to kind of help. The tear out really don't matter, but I don't want it to actually tear out a lot, because if it does, it's going to ruin the finish on the back. Anything right here is going to be routed out with the router template. So we're going to put it in here. I'm going to line it, and then I'm going to clamp it. I'd like to clamp it. So about right there's where we're going to go. I'm just going to kind of hold some back pressure here, and we're going to drill through it. Okay, as you can tell on the back there, I've got a little bulge come out. And now we've got where our knob needs to come through the back. We've also got it on the front, so we've got it spotted now. So we can pull this tape off, and There we go. Okay, now we've got our hole spotted in the back. Now when you order a template from me, this is what it comes. This is what it looks like. It has, I've just spotted the center here to where you can drill this out to whatever you want to. If you want to drill it out to 1/4 inch, 1/8 inch, however you want to do it. Now the next thing I'm going to do is, so I've got this hole spotted here. I'm going to take my lower arm, and I'm going to center that hole into our lower arm, the bottom lever there, the bottom hole. I'm going to try to get it as straight as I can. It looks pretty good right there. I'm going to just put a pencil right here just to kind of hold it off a little bit. I'm going to take my template. This is one that I use. This is one I actually use to make your templates with. But I'm going to take this guy and I'm going to place it without moving this knob here. I'm going to place it exactly where I want it to sit at. So I want it to sit right in there, and I'm going to try to keep it straight with these to make it look symmetrical as much as possible. The only thing I'm worried about here is that I want the knob to be higher or further out this way than my template. Now, if it is, if you can't do that and you can't work it out to where you have room here on both sides, that's fine. All you're going to have to do is just once you route this guy out, move this template back a little bit, route a little bit deeper, or angle it up and route more out of the top so you have more room there. But that so far looks pretty good. A little close right there, so I'm going to try to move this guy down some if I can. So there, it looks pretty good. I just want to make sure I am right on the edge too. And this is kind of just trial and error. Just kind of play around with it till you get it to about where you like it. You want it to be kind of symmetrical right here. At least keep it even with this, and then everything will work out. Now to get this part where I want it, once this part's done, I just take a piece of wood right here. I'm going to line it up to the edge and then to the bottom. So I've basically leveled it off here, and I've got it pushed up against my template now. So now what I can do is I can hold this piece of wood down here, pull this off. You can kind of see how my knob is now, or how my lower arm is. Pull all this stuff off, and I can take this guy and put it back on there, like so. I'm going to cheat this guy up just a little bit. I'm trying to get this as straight as I can with my string ferrules. And like I said, once you route this guy out, if you need a little more room, you can route up here and do other things too. Now I'm going to take some screws. I'm going to put a screw in each of these holes here. Okay, now I've got the screws on here. This guy is on here. It's not coming off. That looks good. I've got good separation here. I've got pretty good separation here. I'm roughly pretty square to that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this template, I'm going to put it right over the top of that one. So now I've got the template, I've got this part where I want it, and now I've got my duplicate part here. And this is just a little loose, it's not perfectly tight. If it's too tight, it won't work really well. What I'm trying to do here, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take some tape, and put some tape here, maybe here. Same thing on the other template, and then we're going to use the super glue and tape technique to hold this guy down. I'm just going to string out some tape, piece of tape here, do the same thing up here. Now I want to take this guy back on here. I'm trying to figure out, if you can tell here, I've kind of got this one set up about the same way, where all I got to do is follow these same lines with some tape. I'm going to put a piece of tape right here, run a piece of tape down here. And I'm going to move this one up closer to this edge. About right there. Now I can put a piece right here, like so. And now I should be able to do the super glue technique onto here and hold this guy down. Now the biggest trick to this thing is do not put the glue on here. Make sure you put it centered of these. If you get any squeeze out, it's going to get onto your finish, and it might be hard to get off. If I can get my super glue open. Golly. And it doesn't take much at all, just a little dabble. Will hold this thing down a lot more than you think it will. Alright, I'm going to try to go that much. Make sure there ain't nothing in there that's going to hold it off of it. Take that, press it down, and that guy is on there. Now we're going to pull these screws back out. We're going to hook these screws in here where we can have something to grab here. We're going to pull it out. So now as you can tell, just make sure it's good, the template's good and tight on there too. Now we can play around with it and see how everything's going to work. So my lower arm's going to go there. You can see how tight it is up here. And once I get this guy routed, once I get everything in here, if I need to shave some of this off inside of here, I can. It's not a big deal. One thing I might consider doing on this one is putting a stop here to where when I'm routing, I'm not routing this whole part here because I don't need all that. All I really need is just where this guy's going to be at. So I might try to put a stop here somewhere to stop it, to where when it gets to here, it'll stop. I can just keep going that way. So that's going to work out pretty good. Upper arm, it's going to sit in here about right in there, and then I should have plenty of room to get that out. So there we go. Now that you see how to do that, like I said, this isn't hard to do. The hardest part is definitely getting everything aligned, and like I said, all this stuff can be redone. Even if this, if I put this guy on here and I route it out, and my knob is like this, I can still adjust this template to route a little bit bigger cavity to where I have more room for this arm. And this, I might even have to on this one too. You see how close that is. But I was having issues with keeping this top part close enough, far enough away from here to where when I put a cover on the back, I can cover it and everything else. Alright guys, so the last thing I want to do here is I want to get the depth of route that we're going to be doing for the Telecaster. Whatever guitar you're using, make sure you measure the thickness of the guitar. That's from the front to the back, and figure out what it is. Now most Telecasters are 1 3/4 inches, which should be right there. So I've got 1 3/4 inches there. I'm just going to lay my calipers up here. I'm going to put a mark at the front there. So this would be the front of the guitar. Alright, there's the front. Now, the next thing we got to look at is our T-nut and our bolt. This guy's going to sit in here just like that. Now, if you look at it, this guy right here is 7/16 thick, but there is just a little bit of the knob sticking out. So you can take that and shave that off if you want to, if you need to. So we got 7/16 there. If I bring it out just a little bit to compensate for that bolt going through, we're looking right at 15/32. So we're going to write that down here. This is 15/32. Now what I normally do is I always at least allow 1/8 of an inch right here from the front of the guitar, just to make sure you don't go through. If you need to take some of that off in the end or when you're assembling it, that'll be fine, but somewhere around 1/8 of an inch is how much you want between the bottom of everything and the front of the guitar. 1/8 here. I'm going to do 3.23 millimeters there. Okay, now so we know this assembly right here from the top of this to where our bolt sticks through a little bit was 15/32. So I'm going to come right to that 1/8 inch mark. I'm going to put right here another mark. And this one is 15/32. If we go to millimeters, it is 11.91 millimeters. So now we have our T-nut thickness on here. Now this T-nut's going to countersink down into the route. Basically what that means is that I'm going to route down to the top of this guy, which would be this mark right here. And then once I do that, I've got a 1 1/4 Forstner bit that I use to countersink this guy. So it would actually sit down into a hole. Now the next thing we're going to measure is our knob. Now if you look, we've got a flange coming out the bottom, and that's what rides on top of this nut right here. So in order to get that, we need to get the thickness of that whole assembly. And it is 35/64. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come here, I'm going to put a mark here, and this is 35/64 or 14.08 millimeters. Now that's where our knob sits. So we have 1/8 inch of wood between the front of the guitar and the bottom of our route. We have 15/32 is the thickness of our T-nut and our bolt, and then this is where our actual knob sits. Now if I take this guy and I set it right on that mark and just kind of eyeball it, I'm going to put my mark down here about where that shaft's going to come out. So there's our shaft. I'm going to get a measurement here on that, and it is 25/32. I'm going to move that up here. that's where our knob's going to come out. Now it's not going to come out centered. It's a little bit off, roughly 1/8 of an inch. And like I said, you can cheat it down a little bit if you want to by going a little deeper here, but I'd at least try to stay at 1/8 of an inch if you can. So like I said, it's going to be not perfectly centered. You're not going to ever notice it. Now we're going to get our depth of route. To get that, we're going to go from where our T-nut sitting to the back of our guitar. So if I'd measure that, and it's usually right at 1 1/8" is what I did on my last one. See, this one's got a little bit off, and I usually go 1 1/8" is what I did on mine. This one is actually a little bit shy of that, 1 3/32. We're just going to say 1 1/8. So from the back of our guitar to this guy here is 1 1/8 inch. If we do millimeters, that is 28.57 millimeters. There you go. Now I'm just showing you how you can do this. Easy way to do it. Whatever guitar you're using, just make sure you measure and add all these things in there to where you can put it in pretty much any guitar you want to. If the guitar's a little bit thinner, you can move some of these things around. You're going to have just a little less of a route here, more than likely, but it should still work. Well, alright guys, that's about it for this video. I already made this video long enough, I think. In the next video, what we're going to do is we're going to route all these cavities out, and we're going to mount all these parts and try to get it to the point to where all we got to do is set it up. Now, I want to do a setup video by itself because I want to show you how the tuner works, and I want to go in depth and all that kind of stuff, and then I want to get you some sounds of it. And hopefully by then my new amp will be in, and we can use that guy to see what kind of sounds I can get out of it. So anyways guys, if you're watching this video for the first time, you don't know, you can go to my website, cwkshop.com. You can find these parts, and you can find the template and all that stuff too. Just go there, go to order bender parts page, and all you got to do is send me an email of what you're wanting, and I'll send you a PayPal invoice to your email, and you can pay me that way, and then I'll ship it to you. However you want to do it. But guys, if you have any questions or comments about any of this stuff, as always, leave them below, send me an email, do whatever you need to get in touch with me. I'll be glad to answer any questions about any of this stuff. And even if you don't have a kit that you bought from me and you're doing this DIY and you have a question about something, send me an email as well. I don't mind helping you out any way possible. But guys, if you liked the video, give me a like, and if you liked it, please subscribe. Thanks for watching, guys.